Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And Andrew, we're here for part 9 of our UNC football ISO series, going to be focusing on Ja'Qurious Conley in this one. Before we dive into him, just head on over to our site, TarHeelIllustrated.com, after this video is done, of course, and sign up for our premium message boards, just $8.33 a month. It's a great time to join our community, too, obviously during the off season right now, ahead of the start of fall camp, ahead of the start of the football season here in the next couple months, and also going into basketball season a little bit later on in around November time. So get in right now. There's a ton of recruiting stuff going on right now that you can only see if you're signed up as a premium subscriber. So head on over there, get access to our boards, get access to premium content, like I said, that you just can't have unless you're signed up. So definitely a good time to do that for just $8.33 a month. So after this video is done, go ahead and do that. But AJ, let's dive into Ja'Qurious Conley, a guy that played 292 snaps last season as a true freshman. Had some learning curves, which you expect from a guy that was playing like him, who was coming in as fresh as he was. But I think overall, a guy like Conley, what I've been impressed with is his physicality. And I thought that really showed, especially towards the end of the season, and kind of all culminating in how he played in the Orange Bowl, because I think he did play very well in that game. But focusing on this year in the spring, I think he's a guy that continues to impress. He's a guy that's been moved around a little bit, which we'll talk about here. He's a guy who's playing primarily at nickel last season, but looks to be transitioning to more of a safety role with this team. And Don Chapman's kind of transitioned into that nickel spot. Like I said, we'll dive into that a little bit more here in a little bit. But what are your just overall thoughts on Conley? Because to me, he's a super impressive kid that I think's got a really bright future ahead of him.
Well, the first thing that stands out is he's a football player.
Yeah.
And what I mean by saying that is that he's a guy that you just kind of put him somewhere in the field and he wants to play. He's going to hit.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be aggressive for whatever position he plays. He can be physical for whatever position he plays.
Fun to watch,
He's
yeah.
a strong kid, packs a lot of power into his body, and there's a lot of quickness. He's got the ability to break. He's a phenomenal athlete. Pretty smart kid, and I think that when they trusted him with the second game of the season last year to start at nickel up at BC, it showed you that they felt like, okay, he's grasped a lot of stuff quickly because there was no spring.
Yeah.
He was a true freshman, and nickel's not an easy spot to play. There are not a lot of nickels in high school, and he wasn't one. So, but Jay Bateman kept telling us all along, but, I think Ja'Qurious is a safety. He's going to end up at safety. Well, this spring, he moved to safety. Chapman moved up to nickel. They've been figuring out what to do there. Obviously, DeAndre Boykin's in the mix there and all that kind of stuff. Welton Spotsville transferred. He would have been in the mix in providing depth there. But I think that they now have their opportunity. They've had their opportunity to see Ja'Qurious at safety. They really like what he saw. Mac was very complimentary about the secondary and the progress it made in stuff like communication. And which is so important because that's how safeties get burned a lot of times. A lot of times it's not a physical thing, it's the communication and it's not being prepared and all that kind of stuff. But I think Ja'Qurious has made a lot of progress in that area, and he gives them a lot more depth at the position when you got some other dudes back there that can play, like Trey Morrison, you got Cam Kelly, and also the way Max said Gio Biggers was the most impressive, the biggest positive surprise of spring practice. And you got Ja'Qurious back. That's a lot of guys. So I don't know if he's going to start or not. I think down the road he starts. He's in a deeper room at safety now than he was at nickel. But I think he makes that group a lot better. They want to be better in coverage. They want to be better as far as the attributes that he brings to the table. Like I said, the physicality. And I think that in time, he could be an outstanding and all ACC caliber safety. I don't know if that's going to be this year or not. I think we're going to see a lot of guys. The 4 that I mentioned, we're going to see them all play. And whoever the 2 are that do best, it's going to be Trey Morrison and somebody else. They're going to get on the field most often. It would not surprise me if the other guy ultimately is Conley, because I think that he's just got everything that you want in a football player at the back of your defense. He just needs to go through fall camp. He needs to learn more about the position at this level. He needs to shake away from all the nickel tendencies he started to develop and just have all safety tendencies. And I think once he does that, he's going to be in really, really good shape back there. And Carolina will be as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to speaking personally, I was a little bit – so I know we had heard about Bateman all along, kind of hinting that he wanted Conley to be a safety. But I know me personally, and feel free to disagree with this, I was a little bit surprised when they made that switch towards the end of spring practice, because I looked at Chapman as a guy that, I was on the sidelines of the first game I believe he ever started, which was at Georgia Tech in 2019. I believe that was the first game he ever started in, or one of the first games. And he was very impressive, had a pick in that game. And throughout is played really well back there. To me, he looks more like a prototypical safety. And I'm talking about Chapman in this one. He's a little bit taller. He's a little bit longer. He's a little bit – arms are a little – just looks more fit for that position. So I know when I personally saw it, especially what I saw Conley do at nickel last season, I thought he was a guy that when I saw that switch, I looked at Conley and said, I'm not sure if he's long enough or tall enough to play safety, because usually want to have guys that are a little bit bigger back there. But – from what we've heard with him, what do you think it is about Conley? You've mentioned it a little bit. What do you think it is about Conley that they like back there at safety over a guy like Chapman?
Well, they want guys that can cover. Mm-hmm. They want guys that can cover. I mean, there's a lot of receivers running routes these days. Mm-hmm. And if the defensive line has made the progress that I think they think it has, where they're going to force teams into long situations, you're going to need cover guys back there. I also think Chapman might be more equipped to cover short stuff over the middle, tight ends, and handle a back out of the backfield over the middle, that kind of thing. Also, one of the things that Mac pointed out about toward the end of spring practice when he was asked about Chapman and Conley kind of flipping a little bit was Chapman had 2 sacks last year from safety spot. They don't want to use their corners and safeties to blitz as much as they have in the past. What they need is a conventional pass rush from up front, which they believe they're in the process of developing. But they also maybe want to get some of those blitzes from the nickel spot, a guy that can get to the quarterback and bring him down. And I think with Chapman, that's what they see in him. Not that they didn't see it in Conley, but I think maybe they think Conley might be better if he gets put in ISO situations back there at safety, a little bit better than maybe Chapman was. So it's not that one wasn't good enough at one spot, so they put him somewhere else. They're trying to enhance spots. And they see, okay, maybe Don might make nickel a little bit better. Ja'Qurious might make that safety spot, the bandit back there, a little bit better. And so they make the move. Kids change positions a lot in college on defense. And this is just a whole means to get better. It's not to try to cover up for what's not working. It's just, well, we want to squeeze this lemon in the best way possible to get the most out of it, as each player being a lemon, obviously, in that analogy. And I think that's why they made this decision. And in watching the spring game, it kind of made some sense, especially Chapman at nickel made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I want to see more of Ja'Qurious. He didn't start in the spring game, but I think he's still learning a lot of stuff. Yeah. And like I said, that room's deeper than what you have at nickel, especially now with Spotsville gone. And who knows what they're going to do when fall camp opens, if they're going to try to enhance that nickel spot a little bit more with some depth. We don't know. Maybe Conley still gets some reps there.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And that's out of necessity. Maybe he moves back up there and plays some there, or at least gets enough reps so if something happens to Chapman, he moves. Because remember, the reason he started the BC game at nickel was because Miles Woolfolk, who was one of the starting safeties, who was in grad school, was academically ineligible and couldn't play anymore. So they moved Trey Morrison, who was the starting nickel. I hope you can follow this bouncing ball here.
Right.
They moved Morrison back to safety, and they slotted Conley at nickel. He struggled a little bit, was a little bit banged up, but then he returned to that spot in the Wake Forest game and owned it the rest of the way and did pretty well. I think he'll be fine. That's why I think in time at safety, he's going to be really, really good back there.
Agreed. I think in having that versatility, like you mentioned, where you can flip-flop a guy like Chapman and Conley is always a positive. And we've seen Bateman in this UNC coaching staff really try to do that with their guys in the secondary, moving guys around, like you mentioned with Morrison. So whatever happens, they've got guys that aren't just one-dimensional and can go play other positions. So, yeah, I like what I've seen in Conley.
To that, real fast, to that, cross-training is something that happened prior to COVID. But if you're going to, people say, hey, what do you think teams did during COVID that they're going to stick with? Well, Mac has been pretty clear. Cross-training on defense. And they did it because you didn't know who was going to test. You could have a whole room test positive one week, and then you got to slide guys over to play the game. I mean, however it was going to work out during the course of last season. So out of necessity, they had to cross-train guys. And I think that, A, it makes them better at their position. B, they can see really what their exact skills are. And I think by doing that, they kind of maybe found out, this Chapman guy actually can play nickel, and we can move Ja'Qurious back to where we thought he should have been playing all along to begin with. So, and I think they're going to continue cross-training as well. So who knows? We we've seen Trey Morrison start games at corner, nickel, and safety. I don't know if Ja'Qurious is a corner, but I know he's gotten reps at corner. So who knows? Maybe he – you only do that, by the way, when you don't have enough guys back there. That's the only way you guys starts that many spots. I think they have enough guys, and if healthy and there are no testing and the COVID protocols are gone this coming season, you'll probably see Ja'Qurious in safety all season long, provided that they stay healthy.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the, for me personally, one of the things I'll be following in fall camp the most, just to see how that position and safety in that nickel position kind of plays out, specifically with him because of, the fact that he did play a decent amount last season, really came on towards the end, and is a guy that this defense really likes and is a guy that continued to impress us throughout the spring as well. So, yeah, Ja'Qurious Conley, big-time player. I think he's got, like I said earlier, a big-time future at North Carolina, whether it be at safety or at nickel. So we'll see how that continues to develop. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Going to go ahead and wrap this one up, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, if you haven't seen the ISO series videos we've already done, just click below. You'll see our channel linked under there, and you'll find a playlist on the front. So it's really easy to access, and you can go check that out. And head on over to our website and sign up for our premium boards for just $8.33 a month. You guys know the drill. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks.
Thanks.